Hello. Welcome to the Nerdy Folks Podcast, a conversation about the nerdy things we love and the things that matter most. My name is Matthew Seipel Anderson.
And I'm Ethan Palmer.
We are the hosts of the Nerdy Folks Podcast. We love this community, and we're glad you're with us today. What's happening, Ethan?
Not a lot. Weird weather between quarter-inch sizes, snowflakes falling from the sky, and now rain. It's been a weird Minnesota winter.
Right.
Or spring now.
The weather in spring in Minnesota is a little schizophrenic, so
yeah.
we just have to deal. So today on the show, we are continuing our series on video games. Today we're talking about video games and storylines. We're going to go down memory lane, talk about some arcade experiences, talk about your point of view in life and in the video games, and, man, a bunch of other stuff that we have no idea.
Yeah, we'll just ramble on and maybe something will stick.
But stick around. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah. Definitely.
This is going to be the best rambling you've ever heard in your life.
Yeah, so maybe I should just ask you, arcade-wise, old arcade box machines, what was your favorite one if you were to pick one?
Well, I have a lot of great memories playing Ninja Turtles.
Oh, yeah, that one was great.
It was one of those side-scrolling things, and just like ninjas kept coming at you, and you had to beat them up, and then eventually you'd get to a big boss. And
What's funny is that my favorite one growing up was the Simpsons version of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game.
That's a
where
thing?
you were each of the characters fighting people, the same exact side-scrolling, mashing buttons. And
that's killer.
for some reason, it was at a Chuck E. Cheese. My dad, my brother, and I beat it. We sat
Really?
there and played it and ended up winning at one point. But yeah.
I remember getting dropped off at the mall by my mom and given like $5 because if you spent $5, you got more than, I think you got like an extra $1 worth of tokens or something.
Yeah.
And I remember you'd stack the tokens on the machine so that when you died, you could quickly get it in before your time ran out. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And I think some people use that to like claim their space. If it was a popular game, they would like line up by putting their coins there so someone would know.
They
they
don't
got
even
the next
think
one.
about thinking you're going to sneak into this game.
Exactly. You think you're good at Pac-Man? Just wait till my coin comes up.
So in junior high, I had this one summer where every day I had a ritual of coming home from school. I walked home, went upstairs, put in Mortal Kombat #1, and beat it. And I could beat it with every character on the highest difficulty level. And I thought I was a total hotshot. And then I was somewhere, I might have been a class field trip or somewhere, maybe it was at a movie, and one of my classmates was there, so I challenged him to a game of Mortal Kombat on the arcade machine, and he smoked me. I was so humiliated.
There's a big difference between fighting against the AI and the computer and fighting another human. That's for sure.
Apparently, because my pride was destroyed that day.
Definitely. My brother and I would always get in those competitions when we had a PlayStation at home or whatever. It's like, oh, I'm going to win on this one. And my parents ended up having to take a couple of them away because we would get way too into it. And then fists would start flying. It's like, nope, we're done with this.
Oh, that's awesome. So video games have evolved quite a bit when it comes to storytelling.
Yeah.
The first games didn't have the space to have a game and a story.
Right. Think of Pong. I know we talked about that maybe last week too. Pong, just playing table tennis across a screen.
And I don't know if this is true or not, but the internet told me that the first game to have a more fleshed out story, or even just somewhat of a story, was Donkey Kong, apparently.
Yeah, I could sort of see that. Maybe it was the first one. Was there text in that one? I don't even remember.
It must have been.
But we all know that the trope of, Mario, your princess is in another castle, getting up to him, and then he just run off to the next map with the princess.
Right.
So maybe that's what they're considering a storyline.
Yeah. The bar was pretty low back then.
It was real low, but it was top technology for its time.
Like, you've got a purpose. That's all you need.
Exactly.
Maybe there's a life lesson there.
Oh, definitely.
Find your purpose. Find your why. What wakes you up in the morning?
Go beat up that monkey.
That's right. You look in the mirror and you say, your princess is in another castle. Now go get her. Or monkey need banana or something.
Yeah. Throughout the years, the stories have obviously changed greatly. I think the next one that comes to mind because of Mario is like the Super Mario, with again fighting Bowser, learning Bowser is the bad guy you're supposed to fight and stuff like that. More modern games have these much more complex stories. Like some of them are completely built around storytelling rather than just gameplay, which is fun. But I feel like I enjoy a good story, whether it's podcasts or books or movies. And really, video games is just another form of that, another vessel for a story.
The first home video game to feature animated FMV cutscenes with voice acting was the Japan-only title Tengai. And I apologize if you're from Japan listening to this. Makyo. Tengai Makyo.
Interesting. Like it's mentioned specifically, full like voiceover for it. Just having the technology to store an audio file and have it play at the right time with the game was huge. And even now, some of the I think of the game Baldur's Gate 3 that just came out. The voice acting in that is professional, like movie level production, just for these goofy characters that you come across. And even your choices while you're playing can determine what's going to go on in that storyline. If you accidentally wipe out an entire town of innocent people, oh no, you're the villain now. Oh, you were supposed to be the hero of this whole thing.
In games, the point of view that you choose, the character you choose and how you approach the game makes a huge difference in how the game plays out.
Yeah, definitely.
That brings up the question of, do we choose our own point of view somewhat in real life every day?
Definitely. I mean, it can come from attitude. It comes from background. It comes from your experiences on how you see things. My day is going to look very different than your day because you have a whole entirely different family. Like I have all my kids and all my stuff in my dirty living room that we're talking in. And then you have a completely different story and experience going on that same exact day. Sometimes we lose sight of that, I think.
Uh-huh.
Between like the ups and downs that individuals can have throughout the day. And I've heard it said sometimes we have the main character complex in our lives as if we're the only thing that's going on in our perspective.
It's crazy to think that perhaps you could be a totally different person than you are today in, say, a year or 3 years.
Right. And that can change in a moment. Mm-hmm. You make a good decision or a bad decision.
And that's something that comes up a lot in talking about faith is, are you going to choose to believe and trust God? Are you not going to choose? And that's a decision that's daily, really.
It really is. The Bible even talks about that, to pick up your cross daily. And sometimes you don't feel like you want to do that.
Right.
Sometimes it's harder some days than others.
But I think those decisions, for good or bad, really compound, and you really start to see the benefit or the detriment of those decisions, depending on which direction you're headed with your life.
Exactly.
Yeah, over time. So, man, video games, so analogous to real life.
It really is. And just like those games, sometimes it's all hindsight is 20/20 based on your decisions. Do you know what? In a video game, I can restart because I figured out that was a bad choice.
Right.
Real life, I can't necessarily do that.
That's right. You can't. But there's always a new day tomorrow.
Exactly.
You can get new momentum. I was listening to just some different things getting ready for this podcast, and Joe Rogan was like, video games are a big problem. Kids are getting addicted and wasting their lives, and if you learn jujitsu, you could be a jujitsu instructor and have a business, and he went on this whole rant.
Well, now you can play video games and record yourself and build a business as a YouTuber.
That's right. There you go.
Or talking about them on a podcast. It's...
it was interesting because that's definitely an older person's perspective.
Oh, definitely.
That, wow, it's all the hours wasted. But what do you think some positive benefits to gaming are? Because you hear a lot of the negative.
Yeah. So for me, a couple things from different, like I said, puzzles and logic building games. I'm I'm really geeky. I like these basically factory production games in which you're building systems of conveyor belts and material, and you're doing math to figure out the efficiency of some of this stuff. And like, to me, that's all one big puzzle that, again, I'm using my brain to figure out problem solving skills. There were times, especially in high school, where I would play one of those for a really long time, go to sleep, and I would dream of the solution
Really?
while I was sleeping. And I'd wake up and I'm like, huh. But then that started happening for other things. Like if I came across a hard problem in math that I was just stumped on, I would try to look at it before I went to bed, and then I would dream, wake up, and have a better understanding of a possible solution. So like, I feel like video games have a hand in that for at least me. Socially, video games are a huge thing. It's a way that I still connect with my dad and my brother and friends from college and stuff like that. And it's low stakes being able to get together and socialize and fellowship.
Absolutely. I think the lines between video games and regular life are going to blur more and more in the coming years as people start using VR at work. You've got your computing, through a VR set now.
Yeah, and even the use of AI. Big game out there, Skyrim. You've at least heard of Skyrim.
Yep. It's kind of a high fantasy type thing.
Yeah, someone modded the NPC characters using like a chat GPT like system where you can just ask them any question and they would respond as that character. Like they started talking about Gandalf at one point in the middle of Skyrim, which Gandalf does not exist in that universe. But they were like, oh yeah, he's that high wizard that lives off in the tower off in that direction, that sort of thing. And using an AI to generate story.
So I have a friend who's in the computer industry. You know him at church. And he has really been diving into AI to use it in some new software products that he's working on creating. And so he was explaining to me that a lot of AI is trained on a very narrow set of stuff, because if it's trained too widely, it loses its effectiveness.
Yeah.
So I just had this vision of a service you could pay for where you could go into a virtual world that was full of AI characters that are all experts on different things.
Oh, yeah.
So when you had a problem...
Biology, geology, science, space, math. That would be so cool.
I mean, nowadays, you go to YouTube when you need to do like a home repair. Like, I need to fix a button on my washing machine. I'll watch a YouTube video and watch some dude like take it all apart. Imagine being able to go into a space using VR and talk to an AI entity and like learn
cool.
stuff.
That would be such a cool tool. And as you were talking about, like tutoring.
Yeah.
If you want to be taught in a specific way, you could have an AI again, just like tutor you through education. I don't know. That's
or like
weird.
Cooking a recipe. You could be literally looking at your own kitchen and have an AI assistant identifying things like, okay, there's your next ingredient, grab that.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So crazy.
How deep do we go? The future is here and approaching faster than we expect.
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly. I do think that we will always have stories. Our brains are even wired for story. I read that when we listen to stories, our brain waves start to sync up with the storyteller.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful. And Jesus used stories a lot in his teaching. He didn't just come and give commandments. It's like, here's the Son of God.
Here's a parable.
Yes. Let me share the deepest secrets of God. So there was a farmer who went out and threw wheat in the ground, and it was like through stories.
Yeah, and he broke it down so anyone could understand, definitely for its time. In modern context, it's a little harder, but he broke it down so anyone can understand it, just like any good story would.
And in the end, the actual world we live in is a choose your own adventure.
It
So
is.
go make life awesome. Well, if you're listening today, don't forget to like and subscribe to the show so you don't miss any episodes. It's super helpful, and we love connecting with you. You can get a hold of us through our website, nerdyfolks.com, or you can simply drop us a line to the email address info@nerdyfolks.com. And coming up in the near future, we're going to have a series on tabletop war games because I just went to Adepticon in Chicago, Illinois, and learned all about tabletop war games. And it's a very fun world.
That means I get to come back.
Hey! So looking forward to that. Until next time, love you, take care, God bless, and bye-bye.